A Handbook for Classroom Management That Works by Robert J. Marzano, Barbara B. Getty, Maria C. Fawcett, Mark P. Fawcett, and Jana S. Marzano. Published by Pearson, 2005. Section 1. Rules and Procedures. Subsection Module 5. Group Work. Pages 24 up to page 30. Module 5. Page 24. Group Work. Cooperative learning and other group activities can be effective classroom instructional strategies, not only academically but also as ways to develop students' relationship with one another. By working with their peers, students can learn to express themselves clearly, to listen, to compromise, to value others, and to take leadership roles. For group work to be most useful, however, teachers should establish a foundation of rules and procedures and reinforce them throughout the year. Recommendations for classroom practice. Setting and reinforcing expectation for group work can greatly contribute to a better managed classroom. In particular, we recommend the following strategies. 1. Establishing rules and procedures for moving into and out of groups. 2. Setting expectations for groups' behavior and focus. Establishing rules and procedures for moving into and out of groups. Successful teachers know the value, particularly at elementary school, of establishing straightforward cues or procedures for students moving into and out of groups in the classroom. One kindergarten teacher, for example, signals that it's time for students to move from table work to group seating by saying, "Let's have the quietest table move to group seating first." She then selects a table to move. While students are moving, often they have not pushed their chairs in, so she might say, "Oops, who forgot to push their chairs in?" Some students go back to push in their chairs, and she resumes table selections after the first group is completely seated. A fifth grade teacher uses the phrase, "Wait for the magic word," which signals to students that it's time to pay particular attention. When he says the magic word, students move. Other teachers might use a simple word such as "go," but he makes it a bit more fun by using "spaghetti" as a magic word. Students also have learned that students in the first group that's ready and on task get a free point. During the week, students accumulate points. Those with the most points by Wednesday of each week get to play the classroom game, for example bingo, that day during free time. Regardless of the particular cue or signal you use, make sure it's clear to students which group they will be working in and where they will be seated. You might put a list of pre-assigned groups on an overhead image or post it on the wall. General classroom seating arrangements also can support the process of group work. One teacher, for example, seats students in pairs in 4 rows, each row beginning at the front of the room and ending in the back. To illustrate, assume each row comprises 4 pairs of students. Students can work individually, pair share, or form small groups of 4 without having to get up and rearrange their seats. The advantage to this approach is that it minimizes classroom disruptions. The teacher also can easily monitor and maintain groups by weaving between the rows. Setting expectations for group behavior and focus. Another area worth attending to is expectations for how students will interact as they work together. These expectations can be written specifically for group work, like those in Figure 5.1, or more broadly to address how students treat one another in classroom. Either way, developing a few straightforward guidelines helps create a culture of mutual respect. High school or upper middle school teachers in particular might also write objectives for behavior and then give students feedback about behavior when they provide feedback on academic objectives. For example, a teacher and a student might determine that the student needs support during group work in dealing with students who express differing opinions. In this case, together, the teacher and the student might set the behavioral objective. Listens when others are sharing ideas and opinions. Page 25. Another option is to develop self-assessment forms that students can use to evaluate their own behavior in various learning formats. For example, if the learning format is direct instruction, students might rate themselves on particular behavioral objectives using the self-assessment scale shown in Figure 5.2. If the learning format is working with a partner, students might use the self-assessment scale shown in Figure 5.3, Figures 5.4, and Figures 5.5, respectively. Include behavioral objectives and self-assessment scales for working in groups and working individually. Another key to effective group work is to make sure students are clear about the purpose of working in groups. Specifically, it is important to write down objectives for the work, the topic, or focus of each group's work, any pertinent instructions, and what each group should have accomplished as a result of working together. Group work is also a time to nurture students' leadership skill. Group work is also a time to nurture students' leadership skills. A straightforward way to do this is to ask each group to identify someone who will be the leader of the groups. A straightforward way to do this is to ask each group to identify someone who will be the leader for the group's activities for the day. The leader's role can be viewed in many ways, and perhaps that's the point of having different students serve in this role on a rotating basis throughout the semester or year. Students and teachers alike will find that students bring their differing strengths, perspectives, and personalities to the role of group leader. This approach can be as valuable to those students who are not serving as group leaders as it is to those who are. By observing how different students handle this responsibility, students will see that there is more than one way to be an effective leader and perhaps be inspired to take on a leadership role themselves.